We'll do 1, 2, 3 because it kind of takes in some of the teams that we want to talk about. So this is where you can play on Ladbrokes.com or on the app for absolutely free this week, where you pick 3 results in this weekend's games. If you get 1 correctly, you get a €1 free bet. If you get 2, you get a €5 free bet. If you get 3, all 3, you win €100 cash. It's completely free to play. And look, as I said, Kevin, Man United Liverpool is definitely the main event on Sunday, and we'll get to that in a second. But we're just going to make our picks here for Brighton and Man City. Man City, I just had a feeling they were going to do that last night, where they just kind of came and just sort of like took care of business after being caught against PSG last time. And they're probably in that they're not in as devastating form in general as they were at the start of the season. That tends to happen to them, but they'll still be able to turn it on like this against weaker teams, and a lot of Premier League teams will fit into that Club Brugge bracket, won't they?
Yeah. And again, last year they weren't as in that devastating form around this time of the year. It was just at Christmas and onwards where they really kicked on. Yeah, listen, I think it'll be a tough game for them going to Brighton, though. Brighton is, we spoke about them a good bit. Like, they're not easy to go and play against. And play good football. They wouldn't. Brighton, I think they drew 0-0 with Norwich last weekend. Not the end of the world away to Norwich. Probably expect them to beat Norwich, but not the end of the world. You draw 0-0. But I think it'll be a tough game for City. I think it'll be close. I still can't go against picking Man City to win the game, though. So I'm going to go with a close 2-1 away win.
2-1 away win. What do you think of the Sterling kind of conversation this week? That it looks, that he's frustrated at lack of game time, and I saw Kevin De Bruyne even quoting saying that, look, I understand where he's coming from. We all kind of feel the same a little bit here, and he's on the outs at the moment. That can change very quickly. He could be back into the team before Christmas, and it'll be Grealish or Mahrez or so on and so forth that's out. But it is a problem with these clubs is that you've got 20 of lads who think of themselves as one of the best players in the world. They can very quickly get to a point where you need a settled team, and those guys aren't going to hang around. Like if Raheem Sterling's not going to hang around to be a bench player through the prime of his career.
And there's been rumours, like I've heard about him for probably last year, that they might be thinking of selling him anyway. That isn't the first time I've heard about him. This time it's him saying he might want to leave, or rumours that he's thinking that. But before, I'm sure in the summer I read about Man City possibly looking to cash in on him or whatever. So surprising, because he's been really good there, really successful for them. Really good between the Christmas, something like them getting going. He was really good between Christmas and the end of the season last year. But they're in so many competitions, he is going to play a lot of games. He might be playing right now a whole lot, but but maybe it's more to do with the manager thinking maybe time's now to move him on. I want to bring in more than nothing else, more than him not being in form, or he's just thinking I'm not going to pick him now and by not picking him, making it maybe easier to pave the way to moving him on, because that rumor has been around for a while. So
we'll see what happens there. West Ham and Spurs then on Sunday. These two group of fans that don't particularly like each other very much, but West Ham, Moisey got his win at Goodison Park. They're back up to 6th again. It's looking like they're just building on what they did last year. Spurs have won their last 2 games, though, and they're back in some kind of form. Harry Kane got his goal and an assist, which I think Spurs fans would have been very relieved to see. So how do you see this one go?
Spurs, they were playing Newcastle, and we were talking about this one where we were thinking they'd win that anyway. West Ham, really good to go to Everton. It was hard to pick, 2 evening match there, and to go there to be great for David Moyes, to be so popular again, so really dragged himself back from nearly ridicule after the Man United job and things like that. So he's back at the top table again, and again another manager who, pleasure to speak to anytime you would, and a real nice man. So this is going to be close. Spurs just looked like they'd found something against Wolves, and they look to be, I'm going to go for 2-2 draw here.
Nice.
4 draw. Spurs looked like they found a little something. I don't know what. They just looked like a bit spark in them again. I don't know whether that's just Newcastle were so poor or what, but I'm going to go for a couple of goals apiece here. Draw.
Yeah, I like it, because they found something, but they're still absolutely diabolical at the back. So it makes perfect sense for it to be a score draw. Yeah. Okay, so United and Liverpool then. Look, United, I don't know, Kevin, we can't keep having the same conversation every week, but I'll tell you, they're playing Atlanta tonight. I think that's going to tell a lot about what way they go into this week. At the same time, I do often feel that, Solskjaer, the one thing they've been able to do is rise themselves for the big occasion and come out and have these performances. But I don't know if you heard his press conference after the Leicester match where he was engaging with, Brendan Rodgers' comments about, what they did in terms of Ronaldo and him not pressing and so on and so forth. And he ended up just kind of this kind of like waffly press conference where he just spoke and spoke and spoke and spoke. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, this guy, he's not showing the kind of control and the sort of almost ruthlessness, even with the media. And, tell it like he's even the fact that he won't even just say, look, Brendan Rodgers doesn't know anything about my team. I'm not getting involved in that. Yeah. I know that's a small thing, but I was listening to it just going, what's he talking about here? What is he talking about here? And you have to think players and everything else are picking up similar messages if I am at home.
Yeah, all we can go on is looking at him. And to me, he looks like that. Looks lost. Looks like he doesn't have the answer. The players on the pitch. Like, we've had this conversation forever. People are starting to say it now about them. They don't look like they're pressing. They don't. Yes. We've been talking about that for a year. Like, it's the same thing week in, week out. If it's a collection of really good really good individuals, they're just not a team, and they all sort of seem to be on their own little wavelength and want to do their own thing. And like, looking at that Leicester game, I was just, Jesus, like, so poor. Little things like Pogba runs up and tries presses, and he's looking around him. There's no one gone with him, and Ronaldo's over at one side, and just no joined up thinking there. It's all just doing their own thing. No one is on the same wavelength when it comes to without the ball. With the ball, they're better, and they all sort of come alive. But they want it because they're all quality players. They want to know a bit more, and listen, they know where to move and they know where to run because it's just natural to them. But when they don't have the ball, they're just so. The week before, the goal they conceded, they were 1-0 up. Who were they playing? Fred lost it. Fred lost it on the touchline. Got bullied, and they went. Who were they playing?
Everton, was it? 1-1 draw.
They got beat. It was the draw. Who was that against me?
Yeah, I think it was against Everton, wasn't it?
Yeah. Fred went over and got bullied on the touchline, and then Luke Shaw comes steaming from nowhere across to where he shouldn't have been if he'd tracked his runner, and then missed the tackle. Like, it was just a collection of just bad decisions from players. He missed a tackle, and it was just, they were in one-on-one from nowhere when Man United started with possession, and it all looked, so comfortable. Just stuff like that just seems to be happening all the time. I spoke to you before about the centre-half pairing. As much money as they've spent, like, you can't argue. People saying the owners this and that. They've spent money everywhere on the pitch. Everyone's saying now, we need a defensive centre midfielder. It's not a defensive centre midfielder they need. It doesn't matter if they bring in the best defensive midfielder in the world. They're still going to be all over the place when they don't have the ball. They're still not going to be pressing together. It's not Fred. People are blaming Fred. Fred's this, Fred's that. Well, listen, he's just out there without any instructions. The team look like they have no instructions. None of them are on the same wavelength without the ball. With the ball, said they're making up for it and they're able to get away with the ball because they're all quality players. But collection of individuals making that team. But we've been saying that for a year and it hasn't changed. And they might do well in this game. Could come from nowhere. They'll be up for it. Liverpool at home in Old Trafford, and they do that. They have a couple of poor results and they bounce back with a big one, and it sort of saves the manager's job for another few weeks. And that's the case for the last year, it seems to me.
Yeah. The coaching thing really bothers me because you're talking about the biggest sport in the world and one of the biggest teams in the world, and like, you recognize, say, that Pogba, pressing on his own, they haven't done it as a team. You've played, like, at Premier League level, and kind of what goes into a team going like that. It's fundamental stuff, really, and it's fairly basic. But at the same time, if a team isn't being coached and isn't being instructed how to do it, and it's not that they don't know how to do it, but they're not all given assignments, I suppose. They don't know. They should be acting off cues, and that is pretty basic, really, isn't it? Like, it's not exactly like this sort of thing that, only Pep and Klopp can do this and everybody else doesn't have as good a manager. It's basic enough football coaching. Like, so how is that not being done? And then secondly is like, how is it not being recognized that this is such a, we know they have good enough players. We know as footballers, they're fine, but how this isn't been recognized as this is the flaw here. It's not always the manager's fault. We blame the manager too easy, but people are pointing to very specific things as to why it is the manager /coaching team's fault here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it only takes any coach, player, whatever fan can watch for. They don't need to watch 90 minutes. You can watch for 5 minutes and see they're not on the same wavelength when it comes without the ball. And I'm not talking about pressing. You don't have to be a pressing team. It's if they sit back and are organised that way and look to counter that, fine. But they can't do that either. It's neither or. They don't know. It's like some lads are sitting back and some lads are wanting to press and they're looking around them. Like, and people are blaming Pogba. Well, I see Pogba, like, it's not Pogba. Pogba goes and press sometimes. There's no one with him, and then he's left isolated and vice. It's just everyone's not on the same wavelength, and I think everyone else can see it. We're talking about Brendan Rodgers talking about it. Everyone can see it. You don't have to watch. Literally, you can watch 5 minutes of that game the other day, and you can see without the ball, they don't. Well, it looks like they haven't been coached. Maybe they have, and the players aren't listening. But I can't imagine they're not listening. It looks like they're. It looks like they just don't work on a training ground. It looks to me like they're a team that go into training and do passing drills and play five-a-sides and everything's great and they go home. It doesn't look like they practice any of this stuff. And 10, 15 years ago, that was okay. You could get away with it. It wasn't the same organization. There wasn't the same team's pressing ability. Everyone wasn't trained to the same, now Liverpool, Man City, they've changed it. They've brought everyone on in the last 5-10 years. Everyone is so organized, so well. You're all on the same page. You go through drills after drills after drills, so everyone knows. In the yards, you watch videos. It's not just, you're being told to move like a foot or two. If you positioned yourself different to stop a pass or whatever, and every player's on the same wavelength, and one player moves one way yard, another player it moves off that, and it's so organized now to a detail compared to it was 15, 20 years ago. That Man United, to me, watch them play, they look like that team from 15 years ago, and not the modern football team where everyone closes down together. An attacker is as important a defender as a defender or whatever, as you see Liverpool play or Man City play. But again, not every team has to play like that. They can be a team who sits back and are well organized, but they don't do that either. They're stuck in a sort of a no man's land at the moment, watching them play. Where I don't know how the manager obviously doesn't believe in it. It's the Man United way or whatever. What is the Man United way? They used to go out and win games. That's all the Man United way was, and score some goals back in the day. There's no set Man United way that you hear about. That to say this magic Man United way, that's not the Man United way. I don't understand. What's the Man United way any different to the Man City way or the Liverpool way? They're going out and well organized, win games, score goals, exciting to watch. It should be every team's way. I love when that, I find it strange when that's thrown out there. It's not the Man United way.
It's probably a sign of not a great coach, well, that you only think that there's one way to play, as opposed to, like we talked about with Stephen Kenny 2 or 3 weeks ago, that we're finally getting to a stage where we're adapting how we're playing based on the match itself, So
yeah.
United have a long way to go. It's another conversation. Like, I mean, again, every week brings up something new in a way, but at the same time, it feels like it's just this continuation of the same problem. Liverpool, on the other hand, like last night, like it's a great win for them last night. They were electric at times. It's going to the Spanish champions and winning is always going to be a really tough battle.
Yeah.
They obviously kept away those 2 goals, and like I thought, like even Klopp, like for Naby Keita to score and to still be taken off at half time because he was a liability in defense, I think is a sign of a very strong manager, obviously. But it was just one of those wins that kind of really reinforced what we sort of thought this season, that this is actually a lot closer to the Liverpool of 2 years ago than it is to the Liverpool last year.
Yeah, it's looking more and more like last year was just a blip. As we spoke about, for the different reasons, what we're not going to go back over them now, but to look to be really to go there, like Atletico scored 3 goals with 3-2. Really, really good performance. That, and let's just listen to different people criticizing the conceded goals, whatever. They're going to the Spanish champions. Fabulous. Yeah. A fabulous club, or a top class manager, and they've gone there and won. It's a really good sign for them. Going on a prediction for this game, it wouldn't surprise me if Man United won and put one of those performances that gets them off the hook for another 3 or 4 weeks. But I can't go for. I don't think I can go for a United win. The only thing I'd say is a tough game for Liverpool last night out there. I know it's on a Sunday, they have a few days to recover, obviously, but I'm going to go with a 2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 to Liverpool. Okay, he sounds very upset saying it. So he went for Manchester City to beat Brighton at the Amex 2-1. 2-2 thriller between West Ham and Spurs, and then Liverpool to beat Manchester United 2-1 at Old Trafford. That's Kevin's 1-2 free picks. You can play yourself right now over at ladbrokes.com or on the app. Just pick the scores in all 3 games. If you get one right, you get a €1 free bet. 2, you get a €5 free bet. You get all 3, you win €100 cash. Kevin, before I go, just one more thing on Liverpool. Salah, contract, no contract, so on. It keeps going on. I actually watched Moneyball there last week for the first time in a few years, and I was there thinking to myself, this is, do you know what? Maybe they're better off letting Salah go and starting using that money to bring in 2 or 3 people. And then you watch another 2 games, you're like, no, I'm sorry, football is not the same as baseball. This guy, I don't care what age he is, he's better now than he's ever been. And he is playing that kind of football at the moment that is like borderline astonishing. People go through these phases and they're great to watch. You get it's almost good to remind yourself at the time is like, do you know what? He's playing the kind of football now that we rarely see, and we should watch every match that we can, because I just think he has been on just a different level than anything I've seen in a couple of years over the last month or 2.
Yeah, he's doing it without even like breaking a sweat as well. It looks like it's just so easy. You know what? As a football fan, and if I was a Liverpool fan, you have to sign him.
Yeah.
If I was paying the money myself and I owned the club, I probably wouldn't re-sign him.
Okay.
Just his age and the contract you're going to have to give him, and I think you're only going to get a year or 2 more out of him at his best. I just don't feel like he's going to be a Ronaldo or a Messi and still be doing it at 34 or 5, to be honest with you. I could be totally wrong, but that is just how my feeling to be. But if I was a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't care about that money side of it, and I'd just say we have to have him for the next 2 years, whatever. But you're going to have to give him a 5-year contract. I think he's 28 or is he 29, Salah?
He's 29 and he's looking for a 3-year extension, so that'd be 4 years from now. So you're bringing him into his almost mid-30s. So I see you're coming. Actually, can I ask on that one thing? Is like you're talking like it's where money is tied up is what they'll be thinking, and they don't want to have it waste of money. Would they be better off though? Is next season at the current salary worth the 60 million they might get from this summer to Liverpool? Do you know what I mean? If Salah goes out and gets 35 goals or 40 goals next season, and then you let him go for free, maybe we have to start thinking of transfer fees as the way forward.
Yeah, that would be what I would do. But then you have the problem of he's going to be probably sulking if he's last year you have to take the human being element into it. In an ideal world, I'd say that'd be the way to do it. Forget about you get the best of next year out of him, and then you don't commit 5 years, 4 years of a contract, and you obviously lose out on the transfer fee side of it. But I think that would be the best way. But he won't probably stand for that. So and understandably so. But the one thing with Liverpool over the years, they managed to sell players like Suarez, Coutinho, Sterling, get a lot of money for them, and they seem to time it just right when they sell them. They don't seem to do Suarez did very well, obviously, but Liverpool didn't do any worse without Suarez. They went on and used the money very wisely. So I wouldn't be the end of the world if I was a Liverpool fan and they did sell him and get a lot of money from him, because they seem to do a good job when they do that.
Yeah, well, let's enjoy Salah while he's in this kind of form anyway and see what happens. But you're going for them to beat Man United this week. We'll see what happens. I think you're probably trying to jinx Liverpool with that pick anyway, but I understand. Let's see what happens with United against Atalanta tonight as well. Kevin, thanks a million for the time today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, Mick. Talk to you next week.
Thanks to Kevin. If you're having a bet on the football or anything else this weekend, please do so responsibly and visit dunlewy.net for more information. That's all for us now. We'll Stephen Ferris will be back with his URC picks for the weekend later on in the week, and we'll be back with you very soon. Talk to you soon.